Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing great because Christmas is just a week away. I am very excited. And since Christmas is coming, who knows? In a future video, you might be seeing some klutzy claws. We shall see what happens. Unfortunately, for good things to happen, bad things have to happen, or some saying like that. I don't think that's the saying, but whatever. To balance out the excitement for Christmas, I have to watch a DreamcastGuy video. You know, I can't experience too much joy. But yeah, it's the typical DreamcastGuy video, except this time, on top of saying Xbox is dead, he's also saying that they are broke. Which, I guess he has said that in past videos, that like Xbox is burning billions of dollars, but he's never outright said they are broke, especially not in the title. And when you hear his reasoning for why they're broke, all your brain cells are going to evaporate. It's like, you know when you have a container of liquid nitrogen and then you pour it out and it instantly turns to gas and just dissipates? Imagine that, but with your brain. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into this and find out why, for like the 62nd time this year, I think, Xbox is dead. I'm not even kidding. I think Josh counted it. It's either like 52 or 62. Whatever. It's been several dozen times. Let's get into this.
Hey there, gamers. DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Xbox because the CEO of Microsoft did a very long interview last night talking about investors and exclusives, and he basically said that Xbox is broke, that they are just completely out of cash, and this new initiative of Xbox Anywhere, the whole idea is putting Xbox games onto Nintendo Switch, onto PlayStation 5, just anywhere that can actually make their money back. And I wanted to talk about this because a lot of Xbox fanboys seem to be incredibly betrayed, incredibly pissed, incredibly disappointed, and we're going to take a look at a bunch of that because, honestly, I don't blame them.
Okay, no. A minute in, not even a minute in, and he is already lying. Not once did Mr. Nadella ever say that Xbox was broke or out of cash or anything like that. That is a narrative you have been trying to push for months now. In so many Xbox is dead videos in the past, you've talked about how they're burning billions of dollars and they're just not profitable, with literally no evidence. And now here you are again making up more crap, twisting what the CEO said about the company. All he did was reaffirm their multi-platform strategy, which really shouldn't be surprising to anybody with any amount of common sense. But I guess people like DreamcastGuy just can't see what's happening right in front of them and have to have it spelled out for them instead. Also, don't you just love when a fanboy tries to call out other fanboys? DreamcastGuy's like, the Xbox fanboys are super pissed. Which, I mean, hey, they are, but that coming from you is a little ironic.
If you've been playing Xbox now for decades, you had the OG, you had the Xbox One, the 360. If you've been buying these, if you've been collecting controllers and achievements and games, and then suddenly the company just says, you don't matter, it's all about profit margins, it's not about exclusives. I understand people's, well, blowback, but...
You mean to tell me that a company is all about profit margins and doesn't care about the consumers? Why are you acting like this is an Xbox specific thing? PlayStation and Nintendo are the exact same way, along with 99% of all other companies on planet Earth. And oh, by the way, having exclusive games does not mean a company cares about you. Quite the contrary, in fact. It means they're trying to force you into buying their box just so you can play it. That's why I always get so confused when I see people are so happy about like third-party exclusivity deals and stuff. It's like, what do you gain from this? The company doesn't care about you. They're not doing it for you. They're trying to screw over people on other systems so they have to come over to their platform. And you want to talk about companies saying, oh, well, we don't care about you, it's just about profits and whatnot? What about the PS5 Pro? What about the price increase to PS Plus? What about Sony putting their games on PC and some on Xbox? And I'm not just talking about MLB The Show. You know, Death Stranding, that's on Xbox now. Not to mention, you got to take this with a grain of salt because this is a rumor, but allegedly Lego Horizon could be coming to Xbox in a few months. But no, none of that means that Sony's broke or desperate or anything like that. They still care about the fans, am I right? No, I am not right. Well, I'm right, but the hypothetical argument is not, you know what I mean.
Let's take a look at a bunch of it, because I've collected a bunch of very angry tweets and stuff, and I want to discuss. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already.
No, don't do that to Dreamcast Guy, do that to me. Because the biggest difference between me and Dreamcast Guy is I will not lie to you, at least not intentionally. You know, I'll still get some information wrong, obviously, I'm a human being, but I will not intentionally spread misinformation like him.
So to begin with, what are we talking about? So this is the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella. Now this guy has been much more hands-on with Xbox this last couple years, and it seems like a lot of Xbox fans are not exactly pleased about it, because this guy is definitely just in it for profit margins. He's in it for investor meetings. He's not the kind of guy who, no offense to this dude, he doesn't really seem like a gamer. I don't think he knows what Gears of War is, which, you know, is fine. There's a lot of people that are at the tippy top of companies who don't fully understand all the inner workings of it, but he said essentially that they are happy with how the Activision Blizzard deal went. Obviously, Microsoft bought them for billions and billions, tens of billions of dollars, and then immediately put Call of Duty on PlayStation.
Something I absolutely love about Dreamcast Guy is the way he words things to make them sound as bad as possible. Because notice how he said that. He said Microsoft spent billions on Activision and then put Call of Duty on PlayStation. But the way he says it makes it sound like he wants you to think it's a bad thing. Like they spent all this money just to not lock it down to their own system and just put it on PlayStation anyway. As if Call of Duty wasn't already on PlayStation. COD has been on PlayStation since its inception. And they got locked into a legally binding deal with the FTC to put it on PlayStation. I'll give Dreamcast Guy this. He is great at attempting to word things in the most negative way possible. As if Xbox putting COD on PlayStation is a negative thing. Also, does anybody else find it incredibly funny that he called this video Xbox is broke? And then within the first couple minutes talks about how the CEO of Microsoft is happy with how the Activision purchase went. If Xbox were broke, I don't think the CEO of Microsoft would be too happy about it. But who knows, maybe he just loves losing money.
And it's been selling like crazy on PlayStation. I think the numbers are that 83% of all the copies of Black Ops 6 were actually sold on PlayStation 5, which is a astronomical amount of cash. And he said, okay, we're going to be doing that going forward. We're going to keep doing that. That is our new strategy.
Yeah. COD is going to continue to be on PlayStation. We've known this for literally years. COD usually sells best on PlayStation, and plus they have to keep it on there because of the FTC. Of course they're going to keep it on there. And plus, I don't think we have any exact numbers, but it seems like Sea of Thieves and the other games they put over did very well. So yeah, if their console sales are down anyway, why not just put the games on PlayStation? More people get to play them, Xbox makes more money, literally everybody wins. Even PlayStation makes more money. Aren't they getting a higher cut from COD now than they were before? So yeah, literally everybody wins by Microsoft putting their games on PlayStation. But I gotta be honest, I'm still failing to see how this means that they're broke.
Going forward, it's about being able to enjoy Xbox on all your devices. Now, he doesn't say the word PlayStation 5, but it's very obvious what that means. And we're going to take a look at some leakers that essentially said that they have to put stuff on PlayStation in order to make their money back. But this is Destin Legary. Obviously, he's the host of one of the biggest Xbox podcasts, Xbox Unlocked, and he says, welp, there it is. Now, a lot of the replies are like, well, look, if this wasn't clear enough during the FTC trial, I guess it's making it extra crystal clear now.
That is exactly what I am saying. This has been crystal clear since the FTC trial, and within the last year, it's only gotten more apparent. Like, if this is the first time you're realizing that Xbox is trying to move towards more multiplat stuff outside of just PC, like, I don't even know what to say. Also, I cannot wait to see these leakers who are talking about how Xbox has to put stuff on PlayStation to make a profit. Because, you know, I wasn't even aware that they weren't making profit in the first place, but Dreamcast Guy just knows this apparently. Must be the meth. Maybe if you do enough meth, you eventually become like omnipotent. Well, time to head to the back of my local CVS. I've got some learning to do, if you know what I mean.
He's not saying anything new that hasn't been said before. A lot of people are basically saying, look, man, he's been hinting about this. They've been dancing around this. It's good that they're finally just explicitly saying there are no Xbox exclusives. There is no red line. Everything. Halo, Gears of War, Forza, Fable, every single game is coming to PlayStation. It's just a matter of time. It's not about if, it's about when.
I love that even Puerto Rock knows that this is old news at this point. Also, oh wow, there's no more Xbox exclusives. It's almost like it's been that way since they started porting all their stuff to PC. And oh, by the way, Dreamcast guy, there's almost no PlayStation exclusives left either. What's left? Astrobot, Quantum Error, yeah, everything else is either already on PC or coming to PC. So I don't even know why you're using this argument, honestly. Oh, that's right, I forgot. This is a Dreamcast guy from an alternate reality in which PlayStation hasn't done any PC ports, or Xbox ports for that matter, but Xbox has put all their stuff on PlayStation already. It's okay, guys, just give him a few more months. He'll eventually get used to it.
He's not saying anything that hasn't been heard before. I really don't know why anybody would buy the next Xbox. He said console innovation. They aren't leaving hardware behind. I mean, this feels like the last desperate grab that people can say now is, well, it's not like the Xbox is being deleted. It's just irrelevant. I mean, there will still be Xbox consoles. It's just that it'll basically be a third-party device, like buying a Sega console, which has all of its games on every other platform.
So, a PlayStation 5 as well. That's what these guys don't realize. Both the Xbox and PlayStation are third-party devices that have some first-party games as well. Most people on these consoles are buying third-party games. And plus, just because Xbox puts their games on other platforms doesn't mean those aren't first-party games anymore. Playing a game made by Xbox on an Xbox still makes it a first-party game. And also, that guy is correct. They are not leaving hardware behind. They already confirmed there are going to be Xboxes in the future, despite Dreamcast Guy's prediction that there wouldn't be in like 5 years or whatever he said.
What do we have next here? So this is something from the founder of Xbox era, Special Nick. This guy, he has been, in my opinion, I like his opinions. We're going to take a look at this because he is a guy who I think has a very reasonable take where he likes Xbox. He's been a big Xbox fan, but he's also far enough away now where he can kind of just analyze their business dealings. And he says, nobody has an issue with Xbox everywhere. They never did. No one would be unhappy if they're being able to play Xbox games literally anywhere. It's that the ecosystem is the heart of the console. And he extrapolates on this. I think this is a really good point. Game Pass, Play Anywhere, Cloud Remote Play, this is the backbone of the console. So the backbone is the console. These are Xbox games. You need an Xbox. To some degree, there has to be an Xbox for there to be Xbox games, right? So the fact that they keep saying each time they give your people less incentive to buy your console, it erodes the ecosystem long term. That's what makes this all worse. It's not there's two competitors that aren't doing this. They're not giving people less reasons to buy their ecosystem. Once Sony gets their storefront, cross-buy, cross-save portable ducks in a row, it's game over. They are done.
Yes, the ecosystem's heart is still the console, but you're acting like the console is going away. You just said earlier that it's not. Again, they have already confirmed there will be an Xbox next console generation. No matter how hard you want to believe it, and Lord knows you do want to believe it, the Xbox is not going to magically disappear in 5 years. You're saying there can't be Xbox games without the Xbox console. Well, I mean, first of all, if we're being a little technical, even if the console went away, the games would still be made by Xbox, but I get what he's saying, so I'll give him a pass on that. And second of all, the Xbox console still exists. Just because their games are going to PlayStation and PC does not mean the console doesn't exist anymore. And it sure as hell doesn't mean that the ecosystem as a whole doesn't exist anymore. How have we gone from, oh, Xbox is going third party, the consoles aren't going to exist, they'll just become a publisher, to, oh, well, Xbox games and everything can't exist without the console at all. You cannot have it both ways. Also, we need to make a distinction here. Nintendo is not doing this. Nintendo is not putting their stuff on any other platforms. PlayStation has put almost all of their first-party titles on PC, and now we're starting to see some day-and-date PC releases for PlayStation. Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster, Until Dawn Remake. Man, there's a bunch of Dawns now that I think about it. All of of their live service stuff, including Helldivers 2, which sold best on PC. And on top of all of that, like if you disagree with everything I just said, or you're saying, oh, well, at least Sony's not putting their first party stuff on Xbox or whatever, these guys, especially DreamcastGuy, have been pointing out for years now that Xbox console sales keep plummeting. They keep falling, the consoles are not selling well, the PS5 is vastly outselling it. So at this point, Xbox is pretty much losing nothing by putting their games on PlayStation. It's probably more of a net gain at this point, which who would have thought when a company does something, they want it to be a net gain. Only Starfield was able to significantly boost the sale of Xbox hardware, and even then, after the hype for Starfield died down, so did the sales. It's not like people were rushing to buy Xboxes for most of their first-party games. In recent years, the sales have not been great for the most part. My whole point in all of this is that people already were not buying Xboxes for the most part, at least when compared to PS5 sales. So what is the problem with them putting their games on PlayStation? More people get to play them and they make more money. And guess what? The consoles will still exist, people can still play on them, and the people on the Xbox consoles can still enjoy the benefits like remote play, cloud play, play anywhere, and Game Pass. Nobody loses in this situation, so I don't know why DreamcastGuy is trying to paint this as such a bad thing.
I am seeing a lot of Xbox people down in the comments basically saying, this is it. Guaranteed if Steam releases a console, PlayStation will stop putting their games on Steam because all they care about is trying to get those first day one exclusives. Yeah. So I think that Xbox is in a very strange spot because for the last couple years, they're fanboys. A lot of the messaging, even from the top, people like Phil Spencer, has been the idea that things are about to be great. I think a big reason there is such a diehard community of Xbox fanboys specifically is that underdog effort. It's a bunch of psychology about the fact that people love to cheer on the person that's almost winning, right? They like to actually say, hell yeah, this team was down by 10 points, they came back and they managed to just barely win, and the crowd goes wild. And
this dude is really going armchair psychologist on us. Psychologist, psychiatrist, whatever. Also, the irony of him calling out Xbox fanboys, dude, like, Jesus Christ. But that aside, him calling Xbox the underdog is hilarious. In terms of console sales, sure, but I don't know how many times I have to say it before people finally understand. It's not just about the console sales. It's about overall revenue and profit. Xbox is well beyond the point of just being a console, in case it wasn't obvious. They are generating billions, maybe even tens of billions in revenue every year. They are, I think, just behind Sony in revenue, actually. And I would not be surprised if after the release of Black Ops 6, they end up jumping ahead. Xbox is in no way an underdog unless, again, you look at just their console sales, which I'm sorry, but if you're just looking at it like that at this point, then you're just looking at it wrong. Calling a multi-billion-dollar company an underdog is just kind of insane. And yes, I say multi-billion, not multi-trillion, because I'm not talking about Microsoft as a whole. We're talking about Xbox specifically. Also, side note, that guy saying that PlayStation would stop putting their games on Steam if Steam made a console, that's just not true. PlayStation has made too much money off PC, and they're too deeply invested in PC to stop at this point, especially when it comes to their live service stuff. Also, it's always hilarious to me when these guys say that Xbox is the underdog, when if you look at the trends, PlayStation seems to be following the Xbox strategy more and more as time goes on. PC ports, putting their smaller games on other consoles. PS Plus got reworked to be more like Game Pass. Kind of weird that Sony would want to follow the underdogs, isn't it? But what do I know? I'm just some kid sitting in my parents' house munching on a candy cane, making a video making fun of a guy who's console warring in his 40s. Speaking of which, would anybody like a candy cane? I have a bunch here. I have like a bowl full of them. You would? All right, cool. Open up. By the way, what's the best type of candy cane? I do like me the classics, but then again, I haven't had like the uniquely flavored ones in a while, so I'll have to give those a shot. Okay, so the video was supposed to cut back to DreamcastGuy right here, but I completely forgot to mention something. I got sidetracked on the candy cane rant. But Nintendo is actually significantly behind Xbox in terms of revenue. They've sold way more consoles than them, but they also make way less money. So if we're going by revenue, then Nintendo is actually the underdog, but I guess we're not ready to have that conversation.
I think a lot of people have been feeling that about Xbox, this concept that, yeah, they're in a bad place now, but the next Forza, the next big game, the next big Halo, the next big project, Fable's gonna finally get things going. And now to learn that Xbox doesn't care about Xbox, that Microsoft just considered them a subdivision, the same way they treat Microsoft Word or an Excel spreadsheet. They don't actually care about the games or the platform or obviously the console itself.
And how is this different from any other company out there? You think Sony cares about their games? I mean, the individual devs definitely do, don't get me wrong, but you could say that about Xbox as well. You honestly think the higher-ups at Sony actually care about it? The only company I could reasonably see that argument working for is Nintendo, because they are so picky about how their games are portrayed in media, and they take so much time to make sure they get, like, every little thing as right as they possibly can. Like, for example, remember Wreck-It Ralph, goated movie, by the way? They made sure Disney animated Bowser holding a teacup a certain way. It's safe to say they care about their IPs much more than their public reputation, which is mildly respectable, but very mildly. And can I just say how funny it is that he's saying that Xbox has always been about, oh, well, in the future it's gonna be good, which, don't get me wrong, for the last couple of years it has been like that. But now we're starting to see PlayStation go down this same route, where we're in a position where they have nothing coming up, at least in the near future. And so now we're talking about how, oh, in the future it's gonna be good. You know, Marathon's gonna come out. That's gonna be great. Intergalactic probably, hopefully won't be awful. It'll get better for them in 2025 or 2026. 24 was just an off year, you know, with Concord and all that. It's just kind of funny to me. I thought I'd mention it.
Now, let's get into the leaks, because this is something that, to me, was kind of wild. So, famous leaker Jez Corden of Windows Central said that at this point, every single game is going to PlayStation 5. The ones that don't go to PlayStation will be the rare exceptions. Even Halo, Forza, Gears of War, games commonly associated with the Xbox brand, are not off the table. It is wild to see this, and
First of all, nice fake sigh. Second of all, why are you upset about this? Oh no, you get to play Xbox games on PlayStation. You don't have to buy an Xbox or a PC to play them. You can play it on your preferred platform. The horror. I just imagine DreamcastGuy tossing and turning in his sleep, and he's like, ugh, multiplat, multiplat, and then he wakes up in a cold sweat, and he's like, no, I don't want Xbox games to come to PlayStation. And then he looks out his window into his yard, and he sees a gravestone saying RIP Xbox, died of not having games, 2001 to 2024. I have this a little too well planned out in my head. You know what, I'm just gonna move on before I think of anything else.
Keep seeing now these huge mega posts from Xbox fanboys talking about the fact that this is the death of Xbox. This is Cliobryle, and he says, you know what, I'm just going to use this post for future reference because people keep asking me my thoughts on this. So here is my thoughts on the Xbox multi-platform strategy. I just want to read this first paragraph of it. I'll be honest, his entire thing here is so good. I was tempted to make the entire video about this post because I think it is so good, but let me just say this at the very start here. It's funny they call it Project Latitude, which this is the thing inside of Xbox. Apparently, this is the internal code name for the fact that they're taking every Xbox game and currently optimizing them for the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 5 Pro. So a lot of games that were released on the Xbox Series X are, well, they're objectively going to look and play better on the PS5.
Okay, multiple things to unpack right there. Number one, the Series X and PS5 ports of games look and play almost identically, especially when it comes to Xbox's own games, as we've seen with, like, Sea of Thieves. People love to call the PS5 port of Sea of Thieves better, and in reality, it's, like, slightly more vegetation off in the distance that you wouldn't even notice unless you zoomed in. Second of all, they are definitely not gonna look better on the PS5 Pro from what we've seen recently. Didn't PlayStation just have to come out and do, like, a technical presentation about the PS5 Pro because PSSR has been such a disaster? From what I've been seeing, a bunch of games have been having to turn off PSSR support or give you the option to turn it off, because who would have thought it's not quite as good as they advertised? Also, who would have thought he's completely misrepresenting the tweet he has on screen? At the end of this tweet, which you can see for a split second in DreamcastGuy's video, Clobril says, gaming is a pillar of Microsoft and that won't change. The only question is whether that future is called Xbox Xbox or Microsoft gaming. Xbox is not dead. It is not going anywhere. Clobril is not saying that it is dead. He even says in that paragraph at the top of the screenshot I took, I'm highly energized by the games Xbox has cooking. Their lineup is incredibly strong. I do believe they are on the right path here. He thinks what they are doing is a good thing. It's just he believes they might be doing it a bit too soon. You are intentionally misrepresenting him to fit your narrative. I do not understand how people like DreamcastGuy can just sell their integrity for money like this, but I guess he has his priorities straight, so good for you, man. I hope you enjoy your ad revenue at the cost of your reputation.
But he's saying this, it's funny they call it Project Latitude because it suggests that primarily they only see growth with width in their strategy that might give them. Modern Microsoft is almost completely driven by data and research, not so much by the ability to recognize intangible effects or broader social developments, something many of us would call common sense. Over 20 years of Xbox legacy has proven that again and again. Unfortunately, releasing games on multiple platforms, making it available to potential players will result in more upfront revenue, but that's going to tank the brand.
Okay, now you're just falsely quoting the tweet. He did not say it's going to tank the brand. He said that will result in more upfront revenue in any kind of possible calculation. The side effects beyond those numbers are completely different, though. That is what he said. He never said it would kill the Xbox brand to put Xbox games on other platforms. In fact, these are my words, not his, obviously. In terms of the Xbox brand as a whole, games going to other platforms is going to help them. Again, everybody wins. Xbox gamers get to play games, PC gamers get to play games, PlayStation gamers get to play Xbox games, Sony gets to make money off of the Xbox games on their platform, and now Microsoft gets to make more money off of the PlayStation releases of their games. Everybody wins, but sure, let's be upset about it for some reason.
This multi-platform approach from Xbox comes with its own cost, from added development challenges to the most important one, the potential loss of your own identity and the loss of customers to other ecosystems. And this is an interesting idea, that Microsoft is, in a way, cannibalizing sales. This is a topic people have discussed in the past. It's why games like Titanfall 2, which is one of the best shooters of all time, it failed because they dropped it between Call of Duty and another big game. I think it was Battlefield 1 at the time. Cannibalization of sales, where you're trying to make sure that each project you release has a chance to breathe, to get marketing, to get sales, and stuff like that. And so with Microsoft, they're at a point where, yes, if they kept stuff exclusive, it would measurably sell Xboxes.
You know what? Maybe that is true, but they have clearly determined that it would be more beneficial, especially in terms of revenue, to put their own games on other platforms, especially PC, and not force people to buy their console just for those games, rather than lock all their games behind their consoles. By locking their games to certain platforms, if they were to lock all their games to only Xbox, like not even PC, not PlayStation, nothing, just Xbox Series X and S, I guarantee you the amount of additional consoles they would sell and the amount of copies of those games they would sell on those consoles would not beat out what they would get if they released their games on PC and PlayStation as well, which is obviously why they're doing it. And this is why, again, PlayStation is starting to lean more and more into PC. They've realized that keeping stuff exclusively locked away will only get so many customers, and ultimately the amount of people you are missing out on PC is not worth keeping the game locked away just to sell a few more consoles and some games on those consoles. Which, by the way, the PC gamers who do buy a PlayStation just for those day one games are probably only going to buy those day one games on the console and nothing else. So it's not like they're going to be invested in the console ecosystem long term. Plus, this kind of wraps around to the argument that I've been making for a long time. Exclusives are nowhere near the end-all be-all of selling consoles. The two best examples are the Wii U and the Xbox One. Both consoles were terribly marketed marketed. They were just bad consoles as a whole. The Xbone kind of got itself turned around later into the generation, but it was too late by that point. But they both had great games that you could only play on that hardware, which was especially the case of the Wii U. And guess what? Both consoles absolutely bombed. It's not just forcing people into buying your console for a specific game that's gonna win them over. Xbox's biggest problem this generation, in my opinion, has been communication and their lack of being able to stick to a consistent strategy. And that is a major turnoff for people. Why would you want to invest in a company's product when they can't decide what the hell they're doing?
One of my favorite games in 2024, and I put it in my top 10 list of top 10 best games of the year, was Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That game is so good. It is so charming. It is so freaking fun. If that was an Xbox console exclusive, not Game Pass, not anything, if there was old school Xbox where you bought your damn games, that would sell consoles. I will always die on that hill that all it takes to sell consoles is good exclusives.
Again, would that sell some consoles? Sure. But is it a good way to do it? Definitely not. How about you get people invested in your ecosystem, not by forcing them to buy it for a specific game? What am I saying? That would be such a terrible thing, am I right? And again, he is assuming here that Xbox's goal is to sell consoles. That is clearly not the case. It is blatantly obvious they are not trying to do that anymore. They just want you to buy and play their games, which is the whole point of what Satya Nadella was talking about. You can play your games wherever you want, but Xbox is still gonna make money off of it because they own them. This is the thing. People act like these CEOs and these executives, whatever, at the top of these companies are like dumb. They don't know what they're doing. Like, just do this and it would go so much better. You gotta remember, these people are in these positions for a reason. They are the ones who know what they're doing. And if they keep pushing a specific strategy, it's probably because it's working. A good example of this not working is, remember when Xbox, like, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, tried to double the price of Xbox Live Gold, and they got so much backlash they reversed it within like 24 hours. Like, yeah, it was a terrible idea. I don't even know why they tried it, but ultimately they did not commit to it because they knew it would be a disaster after seeing the response from everybody. The point is, if a company is committing to a strategy, it is likely working, no matter how much you dislike it. Businesses are in the, well, business of making as much money as possible. If Xbox can make the most money by just locking their games to the Series X and S and forcing people to buy their consoles, they would be doing that.
It was obviously that quote from Phil Spencer where he said, no matter how good Starfield is, we're not going to get you to sell your PS5 to buy it. Now, everybody laughed at that time because that's such a stupid quote. Obviously, we're not telling you that Starfield has to be so amazing that people are going to quit playing PlayStation, but Xbox seems to very vocally and publicly admit the fact that they no longer care about good games. They don't care about big exclusives. At this point, it is just about making the money back on what they've already invested, which is just such a baffling pivot. Now, next up,
oh, well, that's reassuring. He's using the Red Dragon as a source. This can only go well. But I'd just like to say as well, Xbox never said they didn't care about making good games. They just said they didn't believe making good games would sell consoles. And saying their only goal is to make back their money, yes, that is how businesses work. Again, by this logic, PlayStation doesn't care about making good games either, especially with how many remasters and all that stuff they've been doing recently. And, you know, releasing garbage like Concord. Damn, I guess nobody at PlayStation cares about making good games anymore. Let's just ignore Astrobot, you know?
People are very much in a spot where it sounds like Xbox is bleeding cash. Apparently, Hellblade 2 not being on PlayStation 5 is considered to be a giant mistake. Now, obviously, I don't like Hellblade 2. I actually thought that game kind of sucked. I think I gave it a 4 out of 10. But Hellblade 2 being exclusive to Xbox, and nobody even played it on Xbox. I think it was like the 75th most played game on Xbox. The game bombed even on its own console. But a lot of people are saying, okay, if you didn't even have the chance to sell it on PlayStation, if you didn't even have a chance to make any of that money back, they consider it an exclusivity mistake. I see stuff like this. No way Fable goes to PlayStation. That would be devastating for their brand, like it would actually put them in the dirt. The game was monstrously expensive. It might not be day one, but it'll come out with the current plan in place.
I mean, we shall see. I would not be against Fable going to PlayStation. Something tells me that game stands a much better chance at actually being successful than a game like Hellblade. You know, a literal tech demo that honestly, in a perfect world, in my opinion, should have launched with the Series X and S. And it could have been like a free demo included, like with Astro's Playroom. But yeah, we'll see. I know Fable is massively popular. A lot of people are looking forward to this reimagining or like reboot, whatever it is. And so I'm not trying to claim like the game is automatically going to be very successful, but I think it has a much better chance than a game like Hellblade. I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm no expert or anything, obviously, but I do not think even a PlayStation port of Hellblade 2 could make that game turn a profit. I think that would go just about as well as the Until Dawn remake did. That is to say, not very well. Although I will say, I think if Fable is going to come to PlayStation at some point, it's definitely going to be later down the line. I'm talking like a couple years later at least, just because with a game like Indiana Jones, you know, they had to get a license for all that and whatnot. And as we saw with like Wolverine, for example, they definitely have like a quota of game copies to sell. So they're probably releasing it on Xbox and PC to make as many people buy it there as possible. And then they're releasing it on PlayStation later just to make sure they hit the sales quota. Whereas with Fable, obviously they want to make a lot of money off the game, but they probably don't see themselves needing to port that game in the near future. But who knows? I could be wrong, and honestly, I'll be happy if I'm wrong. I hope all you guys on PS5 are able to enjoy Fable at some point.
This is Jez Corden explicitly saying Xbox regrets not putting more games on PlayStation. That they need that money, that they need some way to recoup the costs. We have talked about this till we're blue in the face, but the fact that, you know, me and the subscribers, I've talked about this on live streams over at Twitch, I've talked about this all the time, but it is very obvious that as game development gets more expensive, companies are trying to find ways to make that money back. Really crappy pre-order bonuses or microtransactions or season passes and stuff like that, right? Well, with Xbox, since they've been betting everything on Game Pass, they've now put themselves in a very dangerous position where they're not able to sell their games because people just get them on Game Pass, and now they're in a spot where people aren't even subscribing to Game Pass. They're getting to a spot where they can't get people to even play their games on Xbox. So they're kind of at a spot where they go, okay, we have to put this on PlayStation or nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to play it, right?
I mean, that's only true for like, what, Indiana Jones and maybe Hellblade, and I can't even think of anything else. And I say maybe Hellblade because Hellblade doesn't have a confirmed PS5 port yet. Everything else that's been released in the last few years has been doing just fine on just PC and Xbox. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna correct myself before. I guess Hi-Fi Rush as well. And then with a game like Sea of Thieves, that wasn't because they weren't making money off the game. Clearly, it was very successful on PC and Xbox. It's just, you know, it's a live service game. It had been 6 years since it came out, so they were like, okay, screw it. We were literally losing nothing and only gaining something by putting this on PlayStation. DreamcastGuy is so hyperbolic, it actually hurts. Oh, well, Indiana Jones is coming to PS5 soon, so that means that none of Xbox's games are even known by anybody. Even PC can't save it. They have to put their games on PlayStation. Like, no, there's a difference between having to do something and wanting to do something. I could be completely disproven in the upcoming years, but I would be willing to bet a lot of their bigger titles, including the upcoming Fable, won't be on PlayStation for at least a long time. Because contrary to what DreamcastGuy says, there are plenty of people on Xbox and PC who buy and play their games.
Okay, one last tweet here. I saw this Crab Gamer tweet. I'm not making fun of Crab Gamer. Again, nobody attack anybody in this video, but I did find this funny. A non-gaming CEO trying to redefine what it means to be an Xbox fan. F off. This dude wasted a full decade hoping his rants and complaints would make a difference. Crying emoji, laughing, crying emoji. It is weird to think about the fact that Satya Nadella just coming in and saying, I'm going to redefine what it means to be an Xbox fan. It's about enjoying games on all devices. Xbox is gone in the typical sense. If you're here still trying to get exclusives, big hype, big trailers that don't have a PlayStation logo at the end of it, it's over.
DreamcastGuy's trying to be Harmon Smith now with that it's over. But notice how his argument has shifted. It used to be, oh, well, Xbox is completely dead. How even the title of the video was Xbox is dead. And now it's just, oh, they're gone in the typical sense. Is he finally gaining consciousness? Is he realizing that he's been a complete dumbass this whole time? What am I saying? Of course not. I guarantee we're gonna get another Xbox is dead video before the end of the year. Although I will agree that tweet about Crap Gamer is very accurate. Brother spent an entire decade just just hoping and praying that he could make a big difference or something, and it just didn't happen. That is hilarious to see. Also, what Xbox fan is trying to get exclusives? Like, those haven't existed for Xbox since what, like 2017? I think Crap Gamer is the only one still trying to die on this hill, honestly. And I am here for it. If I can find a video of his on this subject, of him like crashing out over it or something, I would love to talk about it.
I'm not going to pretend the PlayStation 5 is cheap. I'm not going to pretend the PlayStation 5 is, free or whatever like that. But I still say that it definitely seems like soon, if your options are to buy an Xbox Series X, which is $500, or to buy a PlayStation 5, which is $500, I think it's pretty wise, it's pretty obvious that you should probably go with PlayStation. Or obviously save up and get a PC where things are pretty damn good and graphics are definitely more customizable and you can mod everybody have big old watermelon titties. But I still am surprised to see the death of Xbox finally happening.
You know what? Base Dreamcast guy for saying get a PC. Yes, we are going to completely ignore the watermelon titties comment. At least it's not as bad as when he talked about shooting thick, milky ropes of hype. Oh my god, what has this guy's channel become? But of course, he counteracts his baseness, I guess, or whatever, with once again at the end of the video saying Xbox is dead. This time, guys, it's finally dead, for real. You cannot beat the exclusives of PlayStation or the watermelon titties of PC. RIP Xbox 2001 to 2024. Even though this entire video was about how Xbox games are going to PlayStation in the future, and obviously that wouldn't be happening if Xbox wasn't still alive to be making games, but whatever, they're just completely dead. If you have an Xbox in your house right now, you can probably look over and see it evaporating Endgame style, or Infinity Ward style. Whatever, it happens in both movies, shut up. Oh man, but anyway, with all that being said, that's gonna do it for this video. We finally made it to the end, thank God. This video took me 2 days to make, and I don't even know how many hours. But hey, 40 minutes is pretty damn good. I cannot remember the last time I had a video this long. And if you watched all the way to the end, you truly are the realest of real ones. So thank you from the bottom of my heart if you did make it here. And with all that being said, I am going to now end the video and go get myself a Costco muffin, because God, those things are good. Alright, with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more. Join us every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Salt streams, and join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for gaming streams, and I will catch you all next time.